Today on IODP Expedition 342, Newfoundland.
What's up? What's in front of us? Land.
There's a tear in my eye. It's a sad moment.
It's been good fun and hard work, but rewarding.
Okay, Massa, you can come, core on deck. I think that sums it up really, Dan.
Not too hard work because
No, too hard.
There's a sense of collective accomplishment.
Yep, we did it.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah, this is a Japanese custom that has a long history.
Totoemo oishi
Just great to see land after 2 months of working.
A lot was done. It was pretty cool to be a part of it.
Salad's the next thing. Beer and salad.
Beer and a nap.
It's one of the great pleasures in life to be part of a group of people who are all working towards the same objectives. And in this particular case, we had 30 scientists from all over the world, all sort of focused on this particular expedition, all thinking about what they're going to do with the material that we recovered, how that will influence not only their science, but also their careers. We also had this amazing staff of engineers and drillers. They really have artistry, okay? They work as a whole. They don't need to talk a whole lot because they can anticipate what the other person's going to do. And they recover absolutely, magnificent core off the bottom of the ocean, which is not at all an easy thing to do when you're drilling in 5 kilometers of water. And then we have the ship's staff, the captains, the mates, all the engineers, everybody, and then the catering staff who keeps us all reasonably happy. And that whole superorganism worked so efficiently on that ship back there. It is such a pleasure to be part of it because you know that everybody, right down to the cooks, right up to the captain, they're all aimed at the same basic objective of making sure that our science works the best it possibly can. And that's terrifically liberating. It allows us as scientists to be able to go and really dig into the scientific questions without having to be quite so involved in all the technical aspects of a complicated expedition like this.
There's a real sense of history. 40 years of exploration and hypothesis testing in the ocean on this ship and its predecessor. You just can't buy that. This connection to a program that has delivered so much for so long. I felt it the moment I stepped on board this ship for the first time 20 years ago, and I feel it today. I look over this place that was our home for a couple of months, and I feel like that's my ship.
Yeah. This is a core, or this is a site anyway, which will go down truly in history, I think, because we have by far and away the most detailed record of this sort of transition into a fully glaciated world that exists anywhere on the globe, right here.
this is pretty cool. So if you see right here, have this transition from dark clay to light clay. It doesn't look like much, but ask Antarctica what's going on, and it'll be no ice and ice.
There's nothing that quite comes close to either seeing something on the core table or plotting a data set for the first time and looking at it and realizing that you're the first person to have seen some fundamentally new insight into how the world works. What job could be better than that?
This is a marmalade core. It's our last core, which makes it bittersweet.
Happy! Well, we love doing this, but we have been doing it for 8 weeks straight, without a day off. It's sad in one way, but I think we're all looking forward to not working for a day.
I'd forgotten what it was like to lead one of these things. I did it once before. I've been on now 5 expeditions at sea. And for me, it was a complete emotional roller coaster. You know, there was the up at the beginning. We're off on the greatest adventure of our lives. You know, this is going to be a magnificent adventure. You have all these excited people, you know, many of them out there for the very first time in their lives. And that is just a terrific high. The emotional low, came after our second site, where we started drilling something that was really unexpected for me. And we had to recalibrate. We had to say, well, okay, we're going to think a little differently about how this expedition plan plays out. We're going to do something different, and it turned out it worked. My God, it actually worked. And that was another emotional high. And then there was, you know, it was that same thing, just wobbling through the whole thing. Every time you discover something brand new, really exciting, then there's just, wow, you know, we did that. It's been like that for 2 months. I'm exhausted, but I'm also delighted at the same time. Pretty much so. That is black as Egypt's night.
This is a transition from an ocean that had oxygen in it within the water column to one that had a lot less or no oxygen.
Happy fish, very, very unhappy fish, gasping for breath.
Our key objective was to drill old sediments from a time when the planet was much warmer than today, when there was no ice on Greenland, maybe no ice on Antarctica, and to drill sediments that were accumulating very, very quickly so that we could examine that interval of geologic time at unprecedented detail, looking at very, very high resolution.
From a scientific mission perspective, we have achieved, amazingly, we have achieved essentially all the goals. And that there was a moment in the cruise that was not that clear. It was a rocky start. We drilled some intervals that were a little bit older than we targeted. We drilled some that were a little bit on the young side, and we still had to capture that particular interval throughout the Paleocene, Eocene, and it took us a few sites. And what we essentially did is we went on a hunt for the right stratigraphic interval. It was the most interactive drill site finding exercise and expedition that I've ever seen, and he was extremely successful.
First site, very successful, and then sort of second and third site also turned out to be very successful, but a big surprise in terms of what we recovered. And so we had to go right to work and start figuring out where to go next, and over 50% of what we drilled was proposed on the fly, on the ship.
One of the great aspects of science is being able to adjust, you know, and change your attitude, your views on how something works. Throw away the preconceptions that you started off with, and you know, and take off on a different direction. And frankly, having the ability, having the flexibility of the whole ship's crew and the people on the beach, you know, who are sort of watching, I think, a little nervously about what we were doing, and you know, but them allowing us, you know, to go off, to follow our nose, to go look for the best science. That's really one of the great hallmarks of science. It's one of the great hallmarks of this particular drilling program, is that ability to react, to make sure that you maximize the return to everybody involved. Not only the scientists on the ship, not only the people, you know, in the program on the beach, but also the broader public who are ultimately, hopefully, going to benefit from the kind of work that we do.
We did it, and amazingly, you know, we recovered exactly 5,400 meters, more than 5 kilometers.
I have the very last section of the very last site.
Oh, this is just the start. This is, we have hundreds of sample requests pending, and that we're gonna further discuss and compile, and eventually sample about 6 months from now. We're gonna take 50,000 samples or so out of these cores, and people take them to their labs, and that's when the real work begins.
Expedition, end of expedition.
Tired.